Okay, so I'm back with part 2. Please, I strongly urge you to watch part 1 before you watch this one, simply because it explains a lot of the preface of a backstory of how the fighting game community came to be, how it started at its roots, how they struggled and clawed to get where they are today, and I think it really is an interesting story that basically will explain a lot of the stuff that's been going on and a lot of the mentality that exists today, okay? Now, before we get in to what happened on Cross Assault this week and how it blew up in the media, okay? What I want to do, I want to preface that talking a little bit about myself, because let me tell you something. I, in no way, shape, or form, think that I am any better, than anyone else. I am 100% guilty, not only through the years when I played Street Fighter, but also afterwards, just doing commentary on videos while playing matches online. As you saw, some of the commentary I used to do on that was pretty harsh, but pretty funny at the same time. And even the things that I say in my videos now for my video game playthroughs and such, a lot of the time, there's a lot of sexist stuff, there's a lot of racist stuff, absolutely. And you'll find that comedians, real stand-up comedians and such, use this kind of humor all the time, as long as it's given a proper frame of context. Meaning, no, you're not directly insulting someone. When I'm playing, for example, I played Binary Domain the other day, and there was a scene where this hot Asian girl was having sex with the main character, and I was making sex jokes about grab her tits and fuck her and do this and that, and then afterwards I was making racist jokes about how your mouth tasted like pork fried rice after kissing her. And of course that's completely out of line, it's ridiculous, it's insulting, but it has a frame of context. It's funny because I'm making fun of a game. I'm not making fun of a real person or a real culture. I'm not purposely intending to hurt anyone. And when you watch it in context with what's going on, two fictional characters having sex in a video game, it's funny. Difference being, I'm not doing it to a real person, a real caring person who has feelings, who possibly maybe isn't going to get the joke, and really didn't opt in for that kind of a thing. When you watch my videos on YouTube, you know what to expect. Or if you don't, once you watch one of them, you know what to expect. And the bottom line is, if you don't like it, you're going to turn it off. You're either going to not watch my videos or whatever. You're going to go away. It's optional. Now, to say that that kind of thing, if it is hostile to you, let's say harassment, sexual harassment, if it's hostile to you, if you're a girl and you don't like guys who are joking around sexually about stuff around you and it really bothers you, you shouldn't be forced into a situation where that's going to be, okay? Now let's be honest. In the fighting game community, there are people who are like that, but there are not everyone. Not everyone is like that. There are people who are very welcoming to an open a bunch of people, and especially Capcom, I'm sure, when they make these games, they're not intending, oh, let's make this game so that people can make fun sexually of the characters in the game. They're not thinking about that, okay? And so Capcom, of course, the makers of the game, Street Fighter Cross Tekken, is not going to condone any kind of sexism, and it's a shame that there are a lot of people in the community who think that this is like, it is what it is. But so now that I've given that preface, saying I completely understand, I'm guilty of saying sexual jokes and things like that, but it has context to a video game that I'm playing, and I mean no harm or anything to anyone that I'm saying, and I know it's not going to hurt anyone because I'm not talking about any particular person. It's just meant as a comedy, okay? I don't mean those things. Do you really think I'm racist against Chinese people? No. I don't care, about any race. Actually, if you want to know, I'm equally, I do equal humor to everyone. It's not like I particularly hone in on one race, one thing, you know what I mean? If you watch my videos, you see I do it to everyone. It's equal opportunity ridicule, basically, and it's fun. Here's what happened on Cross Assault this week. So basically, every day, the premise of the show is that they're streaming every single day, and they're streaming the training, okay? These people who are playing and learning the game. There's commentary over the stream. There's a camera that's like a webcam that shows the players themselves playing, and all this is going on at once. So all during the week, they're streaming all this training footage, people learning the game, the coaches are giving commentary over it. Every day there's like different things going on. There's matches going on, and so people are getting eliminated. And then finally it comes down to the final day where you're going to get the top 4 people who are going to qualify to go to the final round this weekend and play in the tournament and possibly win the grand prize. So it's the last day of the tournament, okay? And it's not a tournament, I'm sorry, it's the last day of the web series, day 5. And this guy Jared, who works for Twitch TV, is there, and he's doing some commentary and on the stream while it's going on, and he makes a comment. He says, you know, the fighting game community takes a lot of flack for being pretty mature-rated, being pretty hostile, okay? You say sexist kind of things during the games. You say racist jokes and things. You insult players. You swear. You say nasty stuff. And, you know, it could be seen as a hostile environment, especially when compared to other esports, such as StarCraft, such as Halo, Call of Duty, where that stuff really isn't tolerated. And so he's saying this on the stream, and the coach of Team Tekken, this Eris guy, walks up and starts commenting on the stream as well. And here's what he says. He says, well, listen, sexism, all this kind of bigotry has always been a part of the fighting game community. It's an innate part of the fighting game community. Because, again, now if you take this into context of what I've told you about the origins of the competitive fighting game community, growing up in arcades, where it was always a hostile environment, you had to earn your stripes before you gained respect. It was always like that. And so that kind of mentality has always been a part of the fighting game community. You have to be able to put up with a lot of shit, but you should learn how to dish out shit too, okay? And so Eris is trying to make the point that this has always been part of fighting games. And basically, to take that out of fighting games, to take out the fact that you could swear at your opponent, you could say whatever you want, you can insult them, you can say sexist things about the games and things that are going on, is that if you take that out, you're going to innately change the fighting game community for the worse, and therefore it wouldn't even be considered the real fighting game community anymore. You'd be watering it down, per se. And I think, honestly, this is a topic of debate that's been going on very recently in the past couple of years as streams of these tournaments have become more popular. And it's been a hot topic because a lot of people are saying, should there be swearing allowed on a certain stream or not? If it is allowed, how far can you take it? And then, for example, Evolution has had this strict policy of, no, we don't want swearing anymore. We want it to be professional because we're trying to look mainstream so that we can get sponsors and we can bring fighting games into the mainstream. So it's been this hot debate. Now, the purists, so to speak, the people who number one, it's people who've been around for a very long time, way before, you know, this wave of Street Fighter 4, but people who've been around for a long time, have been ingrained in this community, this very male, you know, smash mouth community, are saying, no, we want this to be part of our community, and if you water it down and you do this to stream commentary and you say that it's all got to be G-rated, it's going to change and everything's going to be different. And they're afraid because their mentality, and this is something directly that Eris said on the stream on that day 5, was fighting game and the fighting game community is a place where you can be uncensored. You don't have to worry about being politically correct. You can go on there and say whatever you want. This isn't North Korea, this is America, and we should have the ability to say whatever we want. Okay. I do agree with that, by the way. You can say whatever you want in America. However, you have to be prepared to be called a huge fucking douchebag asshole when you say something really fucking stupid. Okay? You have to be able to live with the consequences of what you say. So this argument is going on between Eris and Jared from Twitch TV. And they're going back and forth, and Jared's like, well, I don't know if I would want to be part of a community like that, where I know I'm going to be ridiculed, I may be sexually harassed, all this stuff that's bothering me, you know, you're kind of limiting yourself, and, you know, that's ridiculous that you'd have to put up with that. And Eris, his whole mentality is, too bad. If you don't like it, too bad. This is what the fighting game community is. At which point, one of the female gamers, her name is Miranda, I think she was going by Super Yan or whatever on the show, steps up and tried to say something on the stream about how, well, you know, you could get fed up and it could be too much. All of a sudden, Eris interrupts and says, no, but, you know, no, don't worry about that. You know, you got to put up with it. It's part of the fighting community and it shouldn't change. Don't try to make me look like I'm in the wrong when I know I'm not, or something like that, okay? So what happens? I'll tell you what happens. Miranda sits down calmly to play her match because she's in the matches for the day. She very calmly throws the match for her team, throws that complete match, Then she was supposed to play another match, and she forfeit, and she walked away. So obviously, something was amiss. Something had been going on. And this prompted people to start doing research and actually go back and start watching these long hours and hours of streams that have been going on during the course of the week. Come to find out, this Eris guy, this team captain of Team Tekken, had actually legitimately been sexually harassing Miranda, the person, the one female on his team, all fucking week. And it was multiple things, things he said, commenting about her thighs, her tits, that she should have a mud wrestling match with the girl from the Street Fighter team, saying that, oh, the winner of that match will become his prize at the end of the match. Then, when she's trying to play, he would take the webcam and start pointing at her tits and at her ass and at her body in different places, making her uncomfortable, to the point where she says, I have to go to the bathroom, and she would walk out of the room because she was so uncomfortable. Keep in mind, this is a web series, a reality web series, that's supposed to be taking fighting games into the mainstream, and you have this fucking complete piece of shit acting like a fool, and no one is really paying attention. Not one person is watching the stream and monitoring it. Not one person steps up and says to them, what the fuck do you think you're doing, you fat piece of shit? Stop it, or else we're going to throw you off the fucking show. Absolutely nothing is done whatsoever. Then come to find out that Miranda, poor Miranda, I feel so bad for this girl, is on this show. She's contractually obligated to be on the show for all 5 days. Come to find out, 3 days into it, she actually tweeted on her Twitter account, I'm so uncomfortable, I would leave if I could, but I can't because I'm contractually obligated. And in another tweet she said something like, my God, I hope my mom isn't so disappointed watching this stream and seeing everything that's going on to me, happening with me. So it's a horrible situation. This girl is literally legally trapped to be forced to be sexually harassed for 5 days. So, again, who's responsible? Who was really responsible for this show? Who was ultimately the authority responsible who should have been monitoring it to make sure that everyone's acting within the realm of reasonability? Who's making sure that the contestants are safe? It seems to me like no one's doing their job, or this is a completely poorly produced show and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. That kind of stuff cannot happen, okay? It can't. It's morally wrong to put someone in a legal situation where they can't walk out of a situation where they're being sexually harassed. In any job in the world, you will get sued up the fucking ass if that kind of a situation presents itself. I would probably say that Miranda, if she wanted to, could probably sue Capcom for this show, okay? She probably has legal grounds to do so. So all this happens, and no one notices any of it really happening until day 5, when Miranda starts forfeiting these matches, and everyone's like, holy shit, why did that happen? Everyone does the research and finds out this guy's a fucking sexist, bigoted piece of shit, and has been doing this all week to this poor girl. And now come to find out, if you actually ask people who know this guy, he does this kind of stuff all the time. This is his personality. He's always been like that. So then he goes on, again, remember, on day 5 on the stream to say that the whole fighting game community is like this, okay? Blanket statement. So what happens? Gee, what do you think's going to happen when the very first show to get mainstream attention regarding fighting games has a sexist asshole on, and is so sexist and basically harasses the shit so much out of one of his team that she quits the show, basically? And then he goes on to say, oh, that's okay, it's accepted because it's part of the fighting game community. We all do this. What did you think would happen? Well, guess what happened? The mainstream media, including Penny Arcade, whatever, their news source, Kotaku, like 20, 30 gaming websites all picked up on this story and basically made it headline news. The fighting game community is sexist. Here's a perfect example. This guy says that it's part of the core of the community, and and makes the girl quit the reality show. So everyone thought that this web series was going to bring fighting games into the mainstream and make it look really good in a positive light. It does the complete opposite, and because of the actions of this asshole, completely fucks everything over, and now fighting games look like shit. Now, just to compound things, as if that wasn't bad enough, okay? Wednesday night, I apologize, I screwed that up. Wednesday night, there's one of the most popular streams that happens, it's Level Up Series Wednesday Night Fights. It's based out of an arcade or a location in California. I'm not up on this stuff, so forgive me that I don't know the specifics, but they host a sponsored stream. It's on Shoryuken.com, so it's a mainstream stream. It's one that's sponsored by Shoryuken and Evo. They have the stream, and the tournament only had a couple hundred people at it, but something like 14,000 people tune into the stream over the course of the night. The commentators on this stream, who, by the way, one of them I know personally, get on the stream, and what do? They make light of the whole situation of what's been going on Cross Assault this week. Now, anyone with a fucking iota of IQ, even if you say, okay, this is ridiculous, the media is on a witch hunt, and really it was just the actions of this asshole Eris, it really doesn't represent everything that our fighting game community is talking about, or we're about. We're not about sexism or anything like that. It's ridiculous that, the mainstream media is taking it that way, that's really, that this guy's word is truth. You should probably, if you're going to do a popular stream right after that, you should probably watch what you say. Instead, they make light of the whole situation for the entire stream, saying several times, oh, I better censor myself or I might end up on Kotaku tomorrow. Oh, watch it. Don't say that about the girl. That might be interpreted as a sexist comment about Rose and the gameplay of Rose on the screen right now. And, all kinds of stuff like that. Joking about sexism and this guy who sexually harassed the girl. And it's on camera. It's proof positive that he did it all week. So guess what happens? The gaming media picks up on that and blows that story up to a huge thing, okay? So this is what's happened this week. And now all this controversy is going on. Right now, final round is going on, and no one knows really what's going to happen. Are fighting games now basically getting a bad stigma on them because of this particular week? But now it's kind of coming out that, wait a minute, there really has been this abusive smash mouth mentality on commentary, on things that people say in the fighting game community all along. It's kind of existed, so it is kind of true what Eris said. That does kind of exist, but the question is, what's going to happen? Okay? So let me give you my take. Okay? As I said, I'm not innocent. I say stuff all the time on my videos that could be construed as sexist, racist. I do it for comedy's sake. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not directly insulting someone. What this asshole did was ridiculously wrong, to the point where I think that he deserves to be sued, possibly by this girl. He is a piece of shit, and his actions should not in any way, shape, or form be taken as the actions of the entire fighting game community. That's absolutely ridiculous. And so, in one respect, I think that the media is to blame, definitely. They took this story. We knew that it was going to be, that this web series was going to, have the eyes of the mainstream media on it. And they took this story and they ran with it, and they were irresponsible with it. And that's what the media is infamous for doing. They take one thing and they blow it out. The story should have been ridiculous, sexist asshole causes girl to quit reality show. Where's Capcom in all of this? That's really what it should have been. Where are the authorities to come in and stop this guy from sexually harassing this girl who's legally bound to be sexually harassed for 5 days? All Capcom did was release a blanket statement saying, we do not agree with the statements that were made on the Cross Assault reality show, and we have dealt with this appropriately. Don't explain how. Obviously, it wasn't any kind of a big deal, because guess what? The damage is done. It's too late. There's nothing you can do now. This girl got sexually harassed for 5 days because you're fucking lazy and you didn't actually have anyone supervising the show to make sure that people were acting professionally and that even your contestants were safe. That's simple. It's the responsibility of whoever organizes the show to make sure the participants are safe, and that was not done, obviously. There was not a healthy environment for anyone. So, I really do feel that that should have been the story, not fighting game community is sexist, because that's not the truth. There are people, lots of people involved in the fighting game community who are nice people, especially these days, because keep in mind, we're talking about a very select group of people who were back from the Smash Mouth days. Since Street Fighter 4 came out, there are entirely new communities, thousands upon thousands of new people to the scene who aren't like that, who have an open mentality, who want to bring fighting games to the mainstream, and don't put up for this kind of bullshit. And I tell you right now, even people like me, like if I was there, I would have opened my mouth. I would have told them to shut the fuck up before I take them outside and whip them. And I'm sure that anyone who wasn't terrified of being kicked off the show probably would have done the same. But I would assume that the people that were there might have been terrified that if they said something that they would get kicked off the show or violate the show's rules. Maybe they thought that this poor girl was taking it in stride, because from all reports she was laughing along with some of it or whatever. That doesn't make it right to continuously do it non-stop, okay? Basically what I feel happened was poor Miranda didn't want to feel like she was rocking the boat and be like, listen, you know, stop because you're hurting me or you're upsetting me with the things you're saying. She just wanted to be part of the show, and then it got too much for her to the point where it was a breaking point. She was embarrassed to even be associated with the show. So I think the mainstream media is at fault. They could have definitely done a better, I'm sorry, the gaming media is at fault. They could have done a better job of relaying what the situation here is. But that does not exempt the fighting game community from any fault. The fact of the matter is, a lot of the times these environments are hostile. A lot of the times when you go on these streams, you hear this commentary and it's foul, it's vile, and you're like, what the fuck? Perfect example. On this Wednesday night fight stream, you're supposed to be watching a tournament. Guess what they were doing? They went to a website to look at the Nas girls, and they started talking about, oh, look at this one. I'll take that one. I want that girl. I want this girl. What? This is a fighting game stream, and you're looking at models with huge tits saying that you want them? What is this? Like, what kind? How does this community have no fucking moral guidelines, have no regulation? That's the other thing. Why are these people allowed to go on stream and say whatever they want and do whatever they want? Why don't they just pull their fucking dicks out on camera and start doing helicopters on the stream? Like, is that allowed too? Is there really no one monitoring these fucking things? How unprofessional. And this is why it's so hard for fighting games to be pushed into the mainstream, because there's no professional person monitoring anything. They all just think that they have this freedom. There's no one with business sense paying any attention. There's no one with any kind of like moral compass that are like, that's insane to me that on a stream you would be doing this kind of stuff, okay? I'm not saying by any means you shouldn't be swearing, you shouldn't be talking shit during the gameplay. That's pertinent. Not doing this ridiculously oddball stuff, doing sexist things, making sexual comments about the players. I mean, you're always going to have that stuff on the internet, but the people who are in charge of the fucking stream should have some kind of control and some kind of restraint. So in conclusion, because now we've talked about this for quite a long time, I feel that, first of all, yeah, there's going to be adult-oriented stuff related to fighting games on fighting game streams. As long as you keep it in context with what's going on, I think it's perfectly fine. If you want to make commentary about a girl and you kicked her ass, you beat that bitch, oh, you raped her, you raped her, you raped her. Obviously, the rape is an extremely strong word. You have to watch what you're saying. But I've been guilty of doing this too. So people will get in the moment and say that kind of stuff. There is a line that needs to be drawn, a context that needs to be taken. When you start making sexual comments about real-world women, when you start going to Nas websites to see the Nas girls and comment on their tits and how you're going to have sex with them, this kind of stuff is like insane that anyone would even consider this is acceptable, and it's funny. It's not. It's vile and it's fucking disgusting, and these people should be thrown out of the fucking community. This Eris guy, fuck him. How could you possibly let him be involved in anything? And my question is, how the fuck did he get chosen to be the coach of Team Tekken on this show? No one knows this guy. No one knows how he behaves, that this is the kind of guy he is. I mean, if you're going to have people on a show that are going to be representative of an entire fighting game community to the mainstream, is that the fucking guy you want to pick? You know what I mean? Maybe you should have thought a little bit harder on that one. So, mainstream media, shame on you for trying to say it's the entire fighting game community. It's not. Fighting game community, shame on you for seeing this kind of stuff for so long and condoning it and saying it's okay and not speaking up. Capcom, shame on you for not making the very first gaming reality show related to fighting games a safe environment and having absolutely no supervision over there whatsoever. You fucked up. So, everyone fucked up. It's not just one particular person, I feel, that was at fault. I think multiple parties here are at fault. The whole thing is getting blown out of proportion, but that's what happens. That's the internet, and that's the media, and that's when you get to the mainstream, this is the kind of stuff that happens. So, in my opinion, you know, it's an unfortunate situation. Eris definitely should be punished, and I don't know. I don't know what else to say, because now, unfortunately, there isn't a bad taste in everyone's mouth. There's a negative stigma. And now the question is this now going to turn off thousands of people who might have played fighting games, might have played Street Fighter from even attending these events at this point? Or Is it going to continue to be this really male-oriented culture where there's going to be this kind of harassment, or are people finally going to step up and say enough of this bullshit? So, I don't know. But that's my 2 cents on it. I really feel that it was taken out of proportion by different parties. I don't think the whole fighting game community is like that. I think it's headed in the right direction. I think the fact that you have people from SureYouCould.com stepping up and saying, no, we're not like that, we don't condone this, and this guy should be punished for what he did, that is good that you have those people stepping up. But I also think that you need to have responsibility. So if you're a streamer, step up, be men, control your streams, control the content. It's okay to make jokes and have pertinent commentary to what's going on in the game. It's not okay to sexually harass real-world women and say silly fucking stupid shit that overblows the context of what you're doing. When I make videos, I make sure the stuff I say is in context to a game, to fictional characters, and you should make sure as well that no real-world person gets hurt. I'm Darkside Phil. I've gotten it off my chest. I feel better. I hope that everyone kind of understands the situation now, and I hope this thing blows over and that fighting games just get bigger and better. Hopefully this doesn't negatively crush everything. I hope not. I hope that they see it's just the actions of one worthless human being and not everyone in the fighting game community. So, thanks for listening, and that's it. I'm done. Later.